Motherfucker! Fuck shit!
Calm down. Where do we start with this one, people? My fears have come to pass. Pikmin 3 is being ported to the Nintendo Switch. Pikmin 3, I personally think is one of Nintendo's best games. And of course I played it on the industry-shunned Nintendo Wii U. A console the gaming world, for the most part, thought was garbage. I've grown tired, of this for the most part. What's done is done. The Wii's fate, was sealed long ago. Will I stop talking about it? No, but I'm certainly tired of it. But what about us Nintendo fans? As gamers who didn't care about industry image. What about us Nintendo fans and gamers who saw the Wii U for what it was, a game console with a unique concept and some of the best games and features Nintendo has ever made for their platforms. I bought Pikmin 3 day one back in 2013, 7 years ago. During those years, it's remained in constant play underneath my TV where my Wii U still is as a household favorite, for both the single player and the glorious multiplayer like Bingo Battle and the mission mode, all of which I bought as DLC, as well. Me and my kids, my wife and everyone, we love Pikmin 3. But 7 years of Pikmin 3, people, 2013. And as we've noticed with the Nintendo Switch, it has gotten a lot of games from the Wii U, many of which have sold extremely well to players who didn't want to touch the Wii U for whatever reasons. I don't care about those people, pretty much. Being honest, I don't care at all. But because the Wii U was a sales flop, its games have made it to the Switch, and the new Switch crowd, the new Nintendo Switch crowd, have been lapping them up for the most part, for the Nintendo games. Unfortunately, I'm also part of the problem. For the first time, I'm regretting buying this one game, this one Wii U port, pretty much at the start of the Switch's life. The only Wii U port I've bought for the Nintendo Switch. This is the only one. The reason why I'm regretting it, even though I had it had reasons for buying it and there was justifications for buying it again, the reasons why I'm regretting it is because it's seemingly set in motion a chain of events that us as Nintendo fans probably didn't expect. We probably knew we'd get some Wii U ports, but I think what we didn't expect is how these ports would essentially stop new entries in this series appearing on the Nintendo Switch, our brand new, fresh Nintendo consoles, where we were hoping to get a new wave of Nintendo IPs from our favourite established franchises, as well as a healthy sprinkle of new IPs from both Nintendo and third parties. Unfortunately, these ports have seemingly stopped us from getting new entries in these series, and for me, it's made the Switch ultimately a weaker console in new content than any Nintendo platform I can think of. Now, of course, those who missed Pikmin 3 will be super happy about this port. They'll be loving it. Yeah, Pikmin, cool, for my Nintendo Switch. I didn't get to play that. To them, it's a brand new game for their Nintendo Switch. And once again, Pikmin 3 is indeed a glorious game that many people should play, or should have played on the Nintendo Wii U. But as its title states in this video, I can't and don't care about these people who haven't played Pikmin 3 for whatever reasons. I can't do that anymore. I wanted Pikmin 4 for my new Nintendo Switch. A new game for my new console to provide me with a new experience. The problem now, though, is that the likelihood of us getting Pikmin 4 on the Nintendo Switch, based off the current track record of how Wii U ports have stopped new entries in other series appearing, feels almost zero. And from both Nintendo and for us established fans, this feels nothing short of a joke. A waste of time, a slap to the face, pretty much. But of course there will be those who defend this and call people like me entitled gamers. Entitled for what exactly? For wanting new experiences for our new £300 consoles? Entitled for not wanting to wait for what will now be over a decade before we get a new entry in some of our favourite series? Entitled because we're frustrated of having to sit around and wait for those who dip in and out of Nintendo circles to play the games they decided to miss because the console was considered uncool in the mass media? If I'm considered entitled for wanting new games on my new console, then by crom, we're all bloody doomed. And gaming will become nothing more than a joke. Much of how we've felt for a long time about many of the ports that we've been getting across the PlayStation 4, across the Nintendo Switch, whatever. And in regards to Nintendo providing access to these older games, you won't see me spending another penny on ports like this that ultimately give nothing for those who have already invested years and years ago. I done a video not long ago on what I'd like to see in a new Pikmin game. One of my most viewed videos actually. And you saw a lot of responses in the comments about the exciting prospect of what a new Pikmin could deliver. What it looks like that isn't going to happen for a long, long time now. What an absolute waste. Someone recently commented that Nintendo need more studios. They commented on my Twitter feed, one of my friends actually, when I was ranting about this this announcement. I agreed at first in my moment of rage, but thinking back, and to something I've openly said many times, Nintendo used to support two consoles with a large amount of first and second party titles. I'm not the only one who said this. I'm part of the Juice is Loose crew. It's something we talk about all the time. And what, are you telling me that after 7 years they can't make a new game in this series? Get out of town. Someone also commented on Twitter that, Nintendo might be struggling at the moment because of this pandemic to get new software out, so they just port some old ones. You don't port games like this in just a few months. With all this added extra. Pikmin 3 Deluxe has clearly been planned for a long time. Nintendo just decided now just to release it. So I kind of don't take this whole pandemic, for this year as an excuse, because at the end of the day, we've had Wii U ports from almost day one on the Nintendo Switch. Hell, Breath of the Wild was a Nintendo port, a Nintendo Wii U port. So like with Captain Toad and this Pikmin 3 port, they are somehow able to make new single player content for it. Why not spend the time and effort just to make a new game? I don't care about the ports. I really don't care about the ports, just as long as we get a new entry as well. This happened for Xenoblade. We got Xenoblade 2, we got Torno the Golden Country, and then we got a port of Xenoblade Chronicles. That's absolutely fine. You are catering to old and new crowds, old and new people. Even when Nintendo knew Breath of the Wild was going to take forever to complete back on the Wii U, they confirmed to us in a video that they'll port Wind Waker HD in the meantime whilst you wait for the new Zelda. At least we knew a new Zelda was coming. Yeah, and then you can decide if you want to get those ports of older games or not. That's fine, old and new, that's great. But we haven't seen any of that for the likes of Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, now Pikmin, etc, etc. As a Nintendo fan, this has been the most bizarre, frustrating, at times brilliant, but ultimately maddening generation Nintendo has ever had. And I've lived through them all, people. Never mind the Wii U being stripped of its identity. You could argue that the Switch is struggling to find its own as it continues to receive port after port from both Nintendo and third parties. A console that feels... It's a console that feels like it's there simply to make up for the loss of the Wii U sales. And it'll do that just by mostly having owed. This is not what you want, people. This is not what the Switch deserves. And I worry about the precedent it'll set for Nintendo going forwards. A company that has, I feel lost much of its soul due to the loss of industry greats, especially losing Iwata, a system which costs more but offers less. And those are just, those are absolute facts when you look at system features and software. And and you know, an industry and crowd that will turn its back on the Switch and on Nintendo as soon as the time is right. You know, I can't care about people who haven't played Pikmin 3 anymore. I can't do that, and I can't care about any other Wii U game that people haven't played. You know, not when it prevents new games and new ideas being made from my favorite company. Not when it means we'll potentially be waiting over a decade for a new experience for our new consoles that we've bought into, these new ecosystems that we've bought into. You know, we shouldn't be buying new consoles for games we've already played, or over wanting new experiences. And that's been one of the biggest things with the Nintendo Switch, the amount of people who have been begging for these older games to be ported to this console. You know, first and foremost, than wanting new experiences. That's just bonkers to me. Absolutely crazy. You know, as a Pikmin fan, you know, yeah, I'm gutted. You know, frustrated but ultimately furious with Nintendo, a company that feels just disconnected from themselves and from their fans in an era of, you know, essentially great change for the company. Great change for the company. And it's, you know, in part, you know, it's also scary because we're going to be going into a new generation soon after the Switch, and much of what made Nintendo what Nintendo were, you know, all our old Nintendo greats, you know, when they leave, and it won't be long before these people retire. I don't know the direction Nintendo will go in, and I hope it won't be this direction that we're seeing with the Nintendo Switch. I really, really hope it's not. But, you know, like I said, super, super frustrating. You know, people will be happy about it. You know, good for them. You know, but like I said, at the same time, I couldn't give an absolute shit about those people who would prefer this over a brand new Pikmin game. It just makes no sense to me. And now people like me are going to be waiting years upon years upon years just for the new game. That's all we asked for. We're called entitled because we want new games. Anyway, I'm done, people. I think I remain quite calm in this. I said I would go flip mode with this, but I've almost, after all this time, I have almost become numb to all the nonsense that we're seeing. But yeah, let me know your comments below. I'll answer to anyone who comes to the comments section. And I mean anyone, as I'm sure this video will trigger some of those defendos and some of those people who will, say this is absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. You know, we don't need Pikmin 4. Pikmin 3 will be alright, you know, yeah, whatever. But I'm done. Take care, everyone. Peace.
Fuck shit, motherfucker! Fuck shit!